This
Yes, now I
conference
have.
will now be recorded.
Okay, now I have started my recording. Okay, so yeah, in the last class we have seen we have configured different type of SAML connections with the, I mean, with we have sent like different kind of attributes in the SAML response. Okay, so as of now we have configured only one adapter, right? And then we have mapped only one adapter in the configuration, right? So I mean, so it has been mapped to only one adapter. So directly, automatically, it has been chosen the HTML form adapter for the login. Okay. So today, shall we create one more adapter and then see and then map that adapter in a connection and see how it is. I mean, and we can able to see the behavior of that particular configuration. Okay. So now we will create a one more adapter actually. Okay. Go to the authentication IDP adapters. Okay, create a new instance. So this time, instead of HTML adapter, we will create a HTTP basic adapter. Okay, we will create a HTTP basic adapter. Okay, give the instance name as same. I mean, instance name as HTTP and then instance ID as same. Okay, click on next. So here, as I already mentioned, right, for HTML adapter and HTTP adapter, so we need to give the PCVs, right? We need to map the PCV. So HTML adapter will throw the login page to the user. Okay, but here this one, right? HTTP basic adapter. Okay, so let's see how HTTP basic adapter how it is coming actually. Okay, so let me give some. Okay, let me give some image example actually for this basic browser authentication. So here HTTP basic adapter, right? It will throw, I mean, it will give the pop-up for the user to type the username and password like this. So like this for a Chrome browser, okay, like this for a Internet Explorer, like this for a Microsoft Edge browser, okay. So like this kind of a pop-up, it will come actually. So HTTP basic adapter, basically it will give the normal or basic pop-up to the user to type the username and password actually. So this is the basic adapter which we are going to configure it here. Okay, so now here we need a PCV to configure because the HTTP adapter, it won't do the authentication on its own actually. So it requires a PCV to do the validation of the password. Okay, so here which we already created a PCV, right? So choose that PCV. Okay, choose that PCV update. Okay, next one is that realm. So realm is nothing but that is the host name of your ping federate or your data store. So what is my host name actually? So I think I need to go back to my PC and then I have to copy this one. So this is my host name actually. So I will copy this one and give it here. Okay, because this is the same host name I am using it for the LDAP also, that is the data store. Okay, so to give that one, and then challenge retrace will be the 3-1. Okay, so challenge retrace is nothing but after 3 times of my password. I mean, like if I give the password 3 times wrongly means, so at fourth time it will block you, I mean it will block my user ID for 1 minute actually. Okay, so that is the default behavior of the ping federate. Okay, click on next. So here, as I already mentioned, the core contact from the adapter, obviously it will be the username. So here we don't need to extend any contact because we can able to retrieve the attributes from the connection itself, right? SAML configuration itself. So here we don't need to extend anything. So we will just get only the core contact, that is a username, that is a primary attribute. Okay, we don't need to extend anything. Okay, click on next. So here username will be the pseudonym, so that is a primary value. Okay, give that primary value, enable that option, and then click on next. Okay, so here we didn't extended any contract values, right? So we don't need to configure the contracts actually. Okay, click on next, scroll down. So now this is a summary page. So this is the type of adapter which you have used, and then we have mapped the credential validator, that is a PCV, and we have given the host name and then challenge retrace. So I mean at maximum time we can able to give the password wrongly. Okay, so save it. So now we have configured a second adapter also, right? So shall we go ahead and configure the second adapter in any one of the connection? Okay, okay, go. Shall we go back to this one? Shall we map a HTTP adapter in this connection, like a second connection? test-sp2. Okay, so here if you go to this one, what are the attributes we are getting? First name, last name, UID, and then the SAML subject. So in SAML subject, what is the value we are sending? Mail address, and then first name, given name, last name, SN, and then UID we are sending the UID. Okay, so this is for this adapter, HTML adapter. Okay, so here if you click on the authentication source mapping, so here in the authentication source mapping only we are mapping the adapters, right? So here go back to this one, click on that authentication source mapping. So here we have mapped already one adapter, right? So now we can map multiple adapters for a single connection itself. Okay, so that is not a problem. You can map, I mean, if you take a single SAML configuration, right? So we can map multiple adapters to a single configuration. So that is not a problem. It will accept multiple adapters, even if it is a 2 or 3 or 4. Okay, so we can map in any number of adapters into a single connection actually. Okay, so here again click on the same, so the same step will be continued. Okay, so we will be getting the 4 attributes from the Active Directory, and we will map that attribute to the values which we got created in this connection. Okay, so the same step, the step which we have followed for the HTML adapter, right? We will be following the same step for the HTTP adapter also. Okay, so map new adapter instance, HTTP adapter, choose the HTTP basic adapter. Okay, click on next. So here again, so we need to retrieve the attributes from the AD, right? I mean, sorry, LDAP, that is a data store, because we are getting the mail address, we are getting the given name, last name, and then we also getting the UID, right? So we are going to get it from the LDAP, right? So choose the first option, click on next. So add attribute source. Okay, so the same step will get continued. The same step which you have seen for mapping the HTML adapter, right? It will give the same step actually. We need to follow the same step. Okay, choose the attribute, give the attribute source ID, source description, and choose the active data store in the drop down which we have created in the today's class before. Okay, so choose it, click on next. Okay, again, so as I already mentioned in the last class, so we need to map, we need to give the base DN, right? So we need to give the base DN, so that under that DN it will go and search the user, and then it will get the attributes of that particular user. So what are the attributes we are going to get? It mail address, given name, SN, and then UID, right? So we are going to get the same attributes. Okay, mail address, given name, SN. Okay, and then what is the last value? UID, right? So we are getting all the 4 attributes, and then click on next. So here, as I already mentioned, the same step. Okay, the filter we will be giving, so that it will get the exact value from the LDAP, right? UID is equal to $username. Okay, click on next. So here this one is done. It's a summary page. Okay, so we got all the 4 attributes, and then we have given the search base, and then we also given the search filter, right? So click on done, click on done. Okay, so this one has been done. Click on next. So here now we need to map the values. Now we need to map the values for this adapter. So okay, let me tell you one more thing. Okay, so SAML subject, LDAP, mail address, first name, LDAP, given name, last name, LDAP, SN, UID, LDAP, UID. So this will be the same step will get continued, because in the same configuration we are mapping one more adapter, right? So that for both of the adapter the steps will be similar. Okay, so click on next. Okay, so this one we can ignore it, click on next. So this is a summary page, click on done. Okay, so 2 things we have configured, one is HTML, one is HTTP. 2 things will have the same kind of attributes and steps actually. Okay, click on done, click on done, click on next, next. So here if you scroll down, we have mapped 2 adapters, right? So each adapter, okay, so if the HTML adapter is coming means, if the HTML adapter is triggering means, it will come here and then it will go here actually. Okay, so it will go to this filter, this search base will use this filter, and it will get all the attributes for a particular user, and then mapped it to these 4 attributes. Okay, and then suppose if it is coming to the HTTP adapter, if it is triggering the HTTP basic adapter means, it will come here and then search the user in this base by using this filter, get all the 4 attributes of that particular user, and then will map these attributes to these values, and then it will get success actually. Okay, so this is how these two adapters will trigger actually. Okay, so here, okay, let me save it here. Okay, now if you go to the second connection, it will have a two adapters. Okay, so before it is having only one adapter, so that is why HTML adapter is automatically triggering, right? So if you go back to the SP connection again, if you go to the third configuration, right, so here only HTML adapter is there. Okay, so when I click on this link, right, oh, sorry, I think I have used it here. So if I click this link, means it is directly automatically it is triggering the HTML adapter because it is having only one adapter, right? But now tell me what will be the outcome of this connection actually, because it is having two adapters. Okay, so shall we try what is the outcome of this kind of a connection, because we are mapped more than one adapter, right? So we will see how it is triggering actually. Okay, so here I'm just clicking this link, open link in a new tab. So here you could see, right, it is asking the user to choose the which authentication mechanism to trigger it actually. Okay, so in the browser itself, okay, so if two adapters has been configured for a single connection means, so it is automatically triggering the user, okay, to choose which authentication mechanism to trigger. Okay, so here I am the user actually, but I don't know. If I am the user means I don't know what is HTML or what is HTTP actually. Okay, normally if you take a normal user, right, they won't be able to know these kind of stuffs actually. Okay, so here this one, the user does not want to see it actually. Okay, so if the user sees this kind of a page, right, to choose the I mean to prompt for the user to choose the authentication mechanism, the user will raise a issue actually. They will raise a ticket to you, you have to resolve. Okay, they will consider like this as a issue actually. Okay, not as a normal or expected behavior. Okay, so now what we can do, so to trigger automatically the user for a authentication. So here user want, okay, I don't want this page to be visible like this. Okay, so I don't know what is HTML or what is HTTP. Okay, so the user is asking to trigger this automatically, so I need a login page or some other page to give the authentication. Okay, so in that case means though, so that is where the selectors comes into the pictures. That is where the selectors and policies will comes into the picture. Okay, so we will try to test the HTTP basic adapter here, and then we will move on to the selectors and policies. Okay, so here I want to choose the HTTP, right? So you can choose the HTTP and then continue. Okay, you can choose the HTTP and then click on continue. So here you could see, right, it has been redirecting, it has been popping up to type the username and password. So if it is HTML means it will trigger some kind of a login page, right? So if it is a HTTP basic adapter means it will throw some kind of a pop-up to type the username and password. Okay, so shall we type the username and password KA546. So let me type the password also. So here you could see, right, it has been authenticated, and then it will redirect me to the ACS URL, that is the abc.com. Okay, so it has been redirecting me to the abc.com. So now this has been working perfectly, but it is it is asking the user to choose the adapter to trigger. Okay, right, so because we have mapped two adapters. Okay, so now how can we overcome this kind of a solution? How can we overcome this solution? Okay, so this is where we can able to use the policies and selectors. Okay, so this selectors, basically the selectors, right? Okay, so basically the selectors will be used to choose automatically which adapter to trigger actually. Okay, it will choose which adapter to trigger automatically. Okay, so how it is choosing the adapters automatically? Based on some kind of a condition, based on some kind of a condition. Okay, so where we can able to create a condition in selectors. Okay, but where we can specify the result for a particular condition, we can able to provide a result for a particular condition in a policy. Okay, for example, if I am providing one condition in a selector. Okay, so how can I go ahead and work that selector? So I can configure the selectors in policies. Okay, so for example, selectors is a condition, right, as I already mentioned. So policies, if one condition is there means one result will be there, else one more result will be there. Okay, so this is the if else condition in Java. As I already mentioned, policies in Ping Federate we'll follow the if else condition. Okay, so if one selector will be there, okay, or I mean that selector will have some kind of condition, right? If that condition is there, means one result will be there. That means one adapter we can able to choose it, else another adapter we can able to choose it for the authentication. Okay, so now we can go ahead and configure the selectors. Okay, so there are three selectors for universal selectors are there, and then three selectors for SAML configuration is there, and then three selectors for a OAuth configuration. Okay, so we will see one by one. Okay, so first of all, we'll start with the universal selectors, and then we'll go for a SAML selectors. Okay, and then while we are going for OAuth configuration, right, the practical session for OAuth, when we are starting that practical session for OAuth, we will see that remaining three selectors for OAuth actually. Okay, so as of now, any doubts, guys? As of now, any doubts, like we have mapped two adapters, multiple adapters in a single configuration, and what is the behavior of the ping Federate when we map the two adapters in a single SP connection, that is a SAML configuration. Okay, so till now, any doubts, guys? Okay, so I think I will take it as a no doubts, and then we can continue. Okay, so now we can continue the next session, that is the selectors and policies. We are going to see the selectors and then the policies. Okay, okay, go back to the console again. Go back to the console, authentication. So here you can able to see the selectors. Okay, click on the selectors here. Click on the selectors. So here create a new instance. Okay, create a new instance, and then choose the type actually. Okay, so there are like I think 8 to 9 selectors are there. We will see one by one. Okay, 3 selectors for common configurations, 3 selectors for SAML configurations, 3 selectors for OAuth configurations. Okay, so first of all, we'll start with the common selectors, universal selectors. Okay, so the first one and most important one and 100% definitely used selector. Okay, so that is known as the CIDR selector. Okay, so CIDR selector can be used for as well as the SAML configuration and then OAuth configuration also. Okay, CIDR. Okay, CIDR. Okay, classless inter domain routing notation selector. Okay, so basically this will be based on the IP ranges. Okay, so as yesterday we have seen that we have seen the log files, right? Okay, so let me open my command prompt. Okay, so what is my IP config? Okay, so this is my IP address, right? This is my IPv4 address. Okay, let me go back to my log folder. Okay, so where we have installed the ping Federate, right? So this is where I think, where is that? Yeah. Okay, so here what is the IP address it has been coming from? I think this is no. Okay, what is this IP address actually? Okay, and fine. Okay, let me MS lookup. It's my I think this one is different one actually. So okay, I don't know, this has been giving us a different kind of IP address. Okay, let me close it. Yeah, let me open this one, audit.log. Okay, so this is, let me resolve this one. Okay. Okay. Okay, so that is fine. I don't know, this one is a different kind of IP it's coming, but that is fine. Okay, so here you could see, right, the IP address. Okay, so that means from this IP address only the request has been coming from. Okay, so if I try to access my application, right, So it is providing this IP address. Okay, so this IP address will be considered as a source actually. Okay, so that means if I try to access any application, right? Okay, so it will check my IP and then the request will come from this IP address only. Okay, so here this CIDR selector, right? This CIDR selector, how it will work means based on we will be giving the IP ranges here in this selector. Okay, so we will give the IP ranges as a condition. Okay, so for example, so if I am giving this IP address here in this selector means, okay, so in policies, if a if I try to, if the request is coming from this IP address means it will choose one adapter. Okay, and then if the request is not coming from this IP ranges means it will take it as a no, so it will choose some other adapter. Okay, so that is the condition. This CIDR select, right, it will be why, I mean, in a real time example or real life, right? So if you are implementing a ping Federate means this CIDR selector is the most important selector actually. Okay, why? Because means it can able to, I mean, it can able to like differentiate whether the request, whether the user is trying to access the application from over the public network or outside the office network actually. Okay, we can able to filter out whether the user is trying to access the application from the outside the organization network, maybe like a office LAN network. Okay, so office LAN network means it will consider as a inside the organization network. Okay, so if you want to filter out inside the organization network and then the outside the organization, right? So we can able to find out by using the CIDR selector. How can we find? How can we find out? Because if you are accessing outside the network, right? Okay, it should have to. I mean, the request should have to. Should have to come from the reverse proxy or firewall. Okay, because I mean, if you are trying the application inside the organization network means it won't have the firewall or it won't have the proxy, so it will, you will be hitting the ping Federate server directly. Okay, but if you are accessing the application from outside the network, okay, outside the network means public network or your home network, right? Your home network or Starbucks network, Wi-Fi network, right? So if you are accessing any application from that network means it should have to come from some kind of a proxy address, some kind of a firewall IP address. Okay, so I mean, if you are accessing any application from any public network, right, like outside, I mean, like your home network or any like a public Wi-Fi, right? Okay, it should have the request will automatically the IP address, right? Okay, for example, if you are coming from, okay, so you are accessing the application from, let's say 127.0.0.1. Okay, so this one is a public. Okay, so I'm accessing my application, I'm accessing my one of my application. Okay, then the request, right, request will be starting from this IP address. Okay, but if it is public network means it will change. Okay, that once you reach the application, my IP address will get changed. Actually, my IP address will get changed like this. My IP address will get changed like this. Why? Because this will consider as a proxy. This will be considered as a proxy or firewall, because you should have to, I mean, you should have to come from the proxy only. You have to bypass, I mean, you have to pass the proxy, because it will, I mean, you have to fulfill the security, right? Okay, so you should have to, like, I mean, if you are coming from public network, right, you can't directly reach the application actually, so there will be some kind of a security check. Okay, so here I mean, like if you are reaching some kind of a city, right, from one city to another city. Okay, let's take a normal example. Like if you are reaching from one city to another city, so you will be paying the toll gate checks, right? Some kind of a checkpoint will be there, right, before entering into the city, right? For example, like in India, if I want to travel from Bangalore, Karnataka state to Andhra state, right? Okay, so if I want to travel these two states, right? Okay, there will be, if I entering the Andhra state, there will be a checkpoint will be there, right? So that is just that checkpoint you will be comes inside of the Andhra state, so you won't be part of the Karnataka, right? So similarly, okay, so I'm accessing some kind of application. Okay, I'm accessing some kind of application. Okay, so if I want to enter this application, right, I should have to reach through, I have to pass through some kind of a proxy. Okay. So I can't able to use this IP address to enter here. I have to use this IP address to enter into the application. So then only the application will accept my request. Okay. So similarly, so that is why. So you may be like 100 of this public IP address. You may be like you can use 100 of public IP address, but you have to you have to use this particular IP address to enter into the application. So anyways, if you are trying to access if it is an internal, right, if you are trying to internal, means that will have some set of other IP address, like they will have some kind of 100 IP ranges that will be having an internal IP address, consider as an internal one. Okay. So if you are coming from this proxy IP address, definitely we can able to say the request is coming from the public network or a personal Wi-Fi network only. Okay. So this CIDR selector, right? This CIDR selector will be used to choose the adapter automatically based on the IP ranges. Okay. For example, we can provide the IP ranges in the selector as a condition. Okay. So if that request, if I am part of this IP address, means it will take it as a yes, or else it will take it as a no. Okay. Let's try to do this in a real time. Okay. So I'm using this IP address as a, so if I go back to the log file, okay, so this IP address is considering me as a source. Okay. So I will copy this IP address, and then, okay, let me give the name CIDR. Okay, click on next. Okay, so here, as I already mentioned, it will give the based on the IP ranges, right? So it is showing to add a new row to the IP ranges. Okay, give this IP ranges. Okay, /32. 32 is a MAC address, so you have to give the /32 because Ping Federate will accept /32 or 64 actually. Okay. So now you can update it. Okay. So if you want, you can add multiple IP ranges also. Okay. So if you are implementing a Ping Federate, right? So if they give, if the external IP ranges has been, instead of one proxy IP, if they are having multiple IPs, means you can add those multiple IPs in here in the network ranges also. Okay. So that means if, okay, click on next. Okay. So now I have added only one IP ranges. So if my request comes from this IP ranges, means it will take it as a yes. Okay. The condition will be satisfied. Okay, save it. Now the selector has been created. Okay, so what is the next step here? Data store creator has been created, PCB has been created, adapters has been created, selectors also has been created. So what is the next step? If it is using the selectors, means we need to use the policies. Okay, we need to create a policies. Okay, now we will go ahead and create a policies. Okay, go to the authentication. Okay, and then policies, click on the policies. So here add policy. Okay, so before adding the policy, choose enable these two options. Okay, enable SP authentication policy, IDP authentication policy, because we are all using the IDP initiated SSO as well as the SP initiated SSO. Okay, so add policy. Okay, so here I don't have any policies, so I'm going to create a first policy. Okay, add policy. Okay, give the name as CIDR because we are going to use the CIDR selector, right? So that is why I am naming this policy as a CIDR. Okay. So now here in the drop down, okay, so the first step is that choose the selector. Okay. So first of all, we will choose the selectors. Okay. First of all, we will choose the selectors. In the drop down menu, choose the selector and then choose the selector which we have created. Okay. Now, as I already mentioned, right? So if the request is coming from that particular IP ranges, okay. So in that selector, I have given this IP range, right? So for example, if the request is coming from this IP ranges, means this here in this policy, it will take it as a yes, or else it will take it as a no. Okay. So as I already mentioned, the policy is a if else condition. Okay. So the condition has been given in the selector. What is the condition we have given? We have added that IP ranges, right? So if the request is coming from that IP ranges, means it will take it as a yes here. Okay, or else it will take it as a no. Okay, so shall we try to give HTML adapter as a no? Shall we give HTML adapter as a no? Okay, failure is done, success is done. Okay, so that means if it is taking as a no, that means if I am trying to access the application from any other IP address means it will consider as a no actually. So it have to throw the HTML adapter automatically. It should have to throw the HTML adapter. Okay. So and then after typing my username and password, it will take it as a done. So if the username and password wrongly means it will the failure also done actually. Okay. So next one is that yes, if it is yes means shall we choose the HTTP adapter? We will choose the HTTP adapter for yes actually. Okay. Click on done. Click on done. Okay. So please be remember I have specified the condition here in the selector. Okay. What is the condition? I have added one IP ranges. So if the request comes from that particular IP ranges means it will take it as a yes. That means it will choose. I mean it will select the HTTP adapter automatically. Okay. And then failure is done, success is done. So if the request is not coming from that particular IP ranges means it will take it as a no. It should have to throw the HTML login page actually. Okay. So shall we test it? Click on done. Okay, save it. So you need to save it here, then only it will work. Okay, save it. So now the policy has been created. Okay. So now here, which is the connection which we have two adapters actually. So here the test-sp2 is having two adapters, right? So now tell me, based on the condition, we have specified the policies, right? So now which adapter should have to be triggered here for this particular configuration and for this particular CIDS selector? So I have configured one IP address in that particular CIDS selector. So I have created a policy here. Okay. So if it is yes means it will take it as a HTTP adapter. If it is no means it will take it as a HTML adapter. So for this particular condition, which adapter to trigger? Please tell me. Please tell me which adapter will be triggering for this configuration, which I am going to access it based on the policies and selectors. Can anyone say? Okay, so it should have to trigger the HTTP adapter. It should have to trigger the HTTP adapter. Okay, so let's try whether it is triggering the HTTP adapter or not. Okay, go to the SP connections, test-sp2. Okay, right click, open in incognito window. Open the link in a incognito window. Okay, try with the incognito window. So here you could see, right, when I try to access it with, okay, let me close this. Let me access one more time. Okay, copy this link. Okay, open the incognito window, hit it, paste it, hit it. So here you could see, right, it has been taking as a HTTP adapter. Okay, so that means the condition which we are providing, which we have provided has been working. So it is taking as a yes. So it has been taking as a HTTP adapter. Okay, so now let me log into this connection. 5, 2, 6, 1, 2, 3. So here you could see, right, it has been changed to the, it has been redirected to the ACS URL. That means the SAML is working perfectly. So before what we have seen, the behavior scene which we have seen, right, it is based on, I mean, it is asking us to choose the which adapter to trigger. But now after we have mapped the policies and selectors, right, it has been automatically choosing the HTTP adapter because we have mapped one, we have created one selector and then we have mapped one policy. Okay. So now how it is the behavior, how it is the workflow is happening here. Now, so here SP connection. So test SP2. So this is the connection which I am trying to access, right? So here when I try to hit the application, right, it will come back to the ping Federate. Okay. It will come to the ping Federate and check. Okay, so it will, there are two adapters are there. Okay, so here when after checking the two adapters are there, right, so it will directly go to the policies only. Okay, directly go to the policies, because if if the ping Federate finds out for a single SAML connection is having more than one adapter means it will automatically comes to the policy only, and then it will come to the first policy and then check. Okay, and then check this condition. Okay, so it will come to this policy. It will check for a CIDS selector. Okay, so CIDS selector we have given the IP ranges, right? So it will go and check the request IP range whether it is matching this value or not. If it is matching means it will take it as a yes. If it is not matching means it will take it as a no. So here in our case it is taking as a yes. So that is why it has been redirecting me to the HTTP adapter. When I try to log in, right, after typing my username and password, it has been taking as a done. Success is done means, if it is successful means it will go to the connection. It will go to the connection and get all the details from the LDAP and then map the details, and then it will send the sample response. Okay, so this is how the selectors policies will work. Okay, so till now any doubts, guys? Till now any doubts? So guys, if you are having a doubt, right, okay, you can directly ask me in the call itself. Okay, so because I mean you might, I mean you should have, I mean like you should get some doubts actually, because then only you can able to understand it, this concept. I know this concept is a purely new for you guys actually, so this is the first time you are seeing this concept. So at first it might look difficult actually, but when you started working, right, so it will be easier for you also. Okay, so as of now any doubts, guys? Like creating a connection and creating a extra adapter like HTTP basic adapter and creating a selectors and policies, any doubts till now? Okay, so I think I mean if you are having a free time, right, so after this class, okay, this I mean yesterday I have given this creating a SAML connection with SAML subject as email address, first name, last name, UID, right? So sorry, this one I have given, right, I think, yeah, this is the one I gave you. Okay, so today continue with, okay, create the HTTP adapter. Okay, so today create the HTTP adapter. Okay, and then create the CIDR selector. Okay, create the policy for the CIDR selector. Okay, and test it and test the connections. Okay, create the HTTP adapter, map with the existing configuration and test the flow, and then create the CIDR selector, create the policy, and then test the configuration. So this will be the 4 tasks today for you guys. Okay, so please do it on your side, and then if you are having any doubts means we can discuss it. Okay, so I think we, as of now, we can stop it right here. Okay, so tomorrow we will continue with other type of selectors, and then we also we can continue with policies, like we will create a multiple policies, and how come we can able to like I mean make a single policy to work for our purposes actually, and then we will continue with the different type of selectors. Okay, if time permits we will try to finish it off the selectors tomorrow, and then we'll continue with the other features of ping federate. Okay, so yeah, any doubt, guys, till now? Any doubts till now? If you're having doubts means we can you can I mean ask now itself. So I think we are having 4 minutes for today's class. So if you are having any doubts, we can discuss that one, or else we can continue tomorrow also. Okay, so any doubts? So I mean, anyone else facing any issue with the ping federate login? Like I mean, Santosh, I have like resolve that issue, right? So similarly, if you see that I mean if you are facing the same issue means that is a step to resolve that issue actually. Okay, so that is a simple resolution only, you don't need to worry about it. Okay, yeah, any doubts, guys? Like Manish or Santosh, Saurav, anyone, you can unmute yourself and then ask me any doubts. So nothing, nothing from your side. So shall we stop today's session? Shall we close it and then continue tomorrow? Okay, so thank you so much, guys. Actually, thank you so much for today's session, and then we'll continue tomorrow. Okay, so thank you so much, Rakesh. Rakesh, are you there? Hello, Rakesh. Okay, that is fine, guys. Okay, so thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for joining today, and hope you understand today's session also. Okay, so thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Yeah, you can leave the session, guys.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Yeah, yeah. So.